Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Nerd Mode On, and I'm going to be doing the next episode of Battlefield News, a video series where I'll be talking about changes and or events within a particular Battlefield title. So without further ado, let's get started. So of course, starting things off, there has been quite a bit of news coming out over the last couple of weeks talking about future Battlefield titles, some other games that are definitely being developed by EA/DICE, and overall when it comes down to the main gist of it, I do apologize that I haven't been uploading nearly as many videos, especially in this format. But of course, I am now back and ready to go. So of course, let's start things off by talking about the R49 server update that happened on March 25th of 2015. DICE has fixed a frequent server crash as well as a fix for being stuck in an apparent revive state after death. Now, of course, with that kind of talked about, let's transfer over to the Battlefield 4 community map project. Now, of course, if you guys are not familiar with what this is or you haven't been partaking in the overall feed on the news tab on Battlelog, this is a project where the community provides ideas to DICE so that DICE can create a map overall for the community. It's kind of a cool thing that we've really never seen by the Battlefield community, and I'm hoping that it'll definitely be a map that the community overall enjoys, and hopefully it'll be one that brings infantry combat to a whole new level. Now, of course, with all that information, they have taken a lot of the concept ideas from the community, and they're currently in the production stage of the overall map. I'm sure many of you guys might have seen other videos from other YouTubers that are showing off the map, but of course it is worth noting that if you do see those videos or you do see screenshots of the map, to realize that it is not currently polished. It's just getting the basics of it. It's kind of like a rough draft if you were to write an essay. Yeah, of course you're not going to use your rough draft, but you're going to take the general ideas from it to create your final product or to create the final revision. So of course there is still a lot of things that are going to change, and overall I'm sure many textures and many more things are going to be coming to the map, so look at it from that perspective, but overall it does look very interesting from what I've seen. Now, of course, transferring over to Battlefield Hardline, of course that did release a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure many of you guys are either on the fence about the game, or maybe you're really in love with the game and you've been playing it every single day since the game came out. It seems like the general consensus of all the players that received or obtained Battlefield Hardline seems like they really enjoy it. I've heard it's been called like the Call of Duty Battlefield. It has a lot of the smaller maps, a lot more action, it's more infantry focused, which is always nice for a player like myself, but overall, it seems like the players that did purchase the game or obtain it via a lot of different methods are really enjoying the overall title, and that's a good thing, especially when it comes down to publicity for the game. Now, of course, alongside Battlefield Hardline doing its own thing, trying to stay clear a little bit of the military combat, but at the same expense appealing to the Battlefield community, you do have a very notorious title that has officially dropped a teaser trailer. Now, of course, if you guys are familiar with a title that is known as Battlefront, you might have played it on the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, or even PC if you were somebody that was playing on that platform at that current time. You might remember a title known as Battlefront. It was definitely a very interesting title. It was Star Wars based, and definitely around that time Star Wars was a really big thing, and I'm sure your parents probably jumped you into it, especially when you were young. Now, of course, Battlefront 3 has officially released its teaser trailer, and we did get to kind of see some in-game footage, especially when it comes down to the cinematic feel to it. It has been rendered multiple times, that's worth noting, so of course that's not how it's actually going to look, but overall I feel like everybody's fairly excited about it. I know a lot of people on Reddit and overall social media have been a little angry that it's not going to be having a lot of the features from the previous installation, which would have been Battlefront 2, but of course it's just hard to say at this time. A lot of that stuff can be fixed. I mean, we are of course a long time away from the official release that's somewhere in November to December, so of course there is plenty of time for them to add these features in or add them in DLCs that can be free and all this other great stuff that can definitely be associated with the title. But of course when it really comes down to it, I feel like I'm really excited for Battlefront 3. It was definitely a game that I dumped a lot of time back into when Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 1 especially, and I remember all the great times I had in that game, and I'm sure many of you guys are really excited about it if you're a Star Wars fan yourself. And finally, the last piece of information I want to talk about is the spring update. Of course, we're not currently there right now, but they do have some different things that are going to be coming to it. I mean, of course, you can kind of mess around with this stuff in the CTE version of Battlefield 4, but this stuff actually won't affect the vanilla version of the game until spring kind of comes around and the patch is available for everyone. Now, of course, talking a little bit about some of the cool things that are going to be returning to Battlefield 4 in terms of game modes and some of the weapons that I'm sure many of you guys have been asking for since the release of Battlefield 4, you will be pleasantly surprised by the amount of content that will be free. So of course, starting things off, DICE is going to be reintroducing Gunmaster into Battlefield 4. If you're new to Battlefield 4 and this is the first Battlefield title you got, you're probably not familiar with what Gunmaster is. Gunmaster is a game mode where it requires you to use different weapons. So of course you get 2 kills, you'll move on to another weapon. In the past, it's always been you start with the worst weapons like pistols, and then you work your way up to some of the better assault rifles, and then back down to the crossbow and knife. But of course, in this installation, it looks like the community is going to have the ability to rearrange the weapons weapons and decide if you start out with the best weapons or if you start out with the worst. And overall, it should add a different layer to the game. It looks like many players have been asking for this, and DICE has definitely been hearing their cries. Now, of course, alongside that great news, of course, we will be having weapon crates that are going to be introduced into Battlefield 4. These include classic lever action weapons and some of the fan favorite assault rifles from the Russian faction. So, of course, we are going to have some new weapons coming to Battlefield 4. So overall, when it really comes down to it, you're going to be receiving a new map, 5 new weapons, a new game mode, and lots of other great content that is on the horizon. So of course, if you are still playing Battlefield 4, it looks like you'll have more of an incentive to continue to play Battlefield 4, even though the other Battlefield titles are out, as well as some other new games. But of course, if you are somebody that enjoys the military combat, there is really nothing that currently beats this game. But anyway, guys, that's really all the information I have for you. Hopefully you took something away from the video, especially when it comes down to what the new content is, and overall just a lot of different things that are currently on the horizon or will be coming on the horizon when it comes down to official new games. But of course, if you guys would like to read all the articles for yourself, I will have them linked in the description of the video for your viewing pleasure, so consider checking those out, especially if you're more interested in a certain topic or overall what this overall DLC might include. But until the next episode, guys, this has been NMO, and I'm going to be signing out, guys. Peace.